In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the science of booze. We all know that alcohol gets you drunk, right? But how exactly is this happening? I mean, beer, wine, and liquor all seem a little bit different from each other, yet they have the same effect when we drink too much. This is because they all share the same chemical in common that actually is responsible for our drunkenness. This chemical is an alcohol called ethanol, or ethyl alcohol. Now, ethanol is actually a toxin in our bodies, so when we drink it, it's absorbed into our bloodstream and carried to our liver, which then tries to break it down into a less harmful substance known as acetate. Our liver breaks down, or detoxifies, ethanol at the rate of about 1 standard drink per hour. That's the equivalent of 1 shot, 1 beer, or 1 4-ounce glass of wine every hour. But when we drink more than that in an hour, or over the course of a night, that excess ethanol continues to circulate throughout our bloodstream and the rest of our bodies, eventually making it to our brain, and that's when we start to feel drunk. Once the ethanol makes it into your brain, it interferes with cells called neurons, interrupting their ability to communicate with each other normally. These neurons talk to each other using small chemical signals known as neurotransmitters. In our bodies, there's 2 main ones that are affected: glutamate and GABA. Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter, meaning that it speeds up the signaling between our brain, whereas GABA is inhibitory and does the opposite by slowing your thoughts down. Now, when we drink alcohol, the ethanol in it interferes with our neurons to inhibit the release of glutamate while allowing for more GABA to be sent out. This is essentially like slamming the brakes on your thought processing, while at the same time whipping it into reverse. Now, as the different parts of our brain start to slow down, we experience these as the different symptoms of our drunkenness. For example, when you think of your brain, that big part that you see is known as the Cerebral Cortex, and it's responsible for your 5 main senses. When that part becomes intoxicated, your senses become affected. This can account for some of the early signs of intoxication, such as your mouth becoming numb, a little blurred vision, or why drunk people talk really loud. Part of your cerebral cortex includes your frontal lobe, which is responsible for giving us rational thought. When this part becomes intoxicated and slows down, it can affect our ability to solve problems, make good rational decisions, and even self-regulate. The next part of your brain that could be affected is your cerebellum. This is a small ball at the base of your brain that's responsible for movement and speech. When this part of your brain becomes affected, it often means that your blood alcohol concentration is at or above 0.08. This is what police officers are looking for when they ask you to walk in a straight line or say your ABCs. After that comes your hippocampus. When this part of your brain becomes affected, it means that you're really drunk and should definitely stop drinking. Your hippocampus is responsible for making and storing new memories. When this part becomes intoxicated and starts to slow down, we start to forget things and even lose sections of time. We know this as blacking out. The last part of your brain that you want to be affected is your medulla, which is located at the stem of your brain. This is responsible for pretty much keeping you alive. Your medulla is responsible for doing all those automatic things that keeps your body alive, such as breathing, keeping your heart beating, and regulating our body temperature. So it's not hard to guess why drinking so much that your medulla becomes affected might be a bad deal. This can stop your breathing and lead to the shutdown of other systems, which ultimately leads to death. Ugh. On top of your brain being affected, the ethanol in alcohol also interferes with your body's natural release of hormones. Now, a hormone, like a neurotransmitter, is a small chemical message that travels throughout your body and tells it to do different things. There are 3 hormones in particular that when alcohol messes with them, you're bound to notice the effects of it. The first is my personal nemesis, an antidiuretic hormone known as vasopressin. Now, normally, vasopressin sits in your body and tells your kidneys to hold on to water in order to keep you hydrated. However, in the presence of alcohol, vasopressin goes down, and this tells your kidneys that they need to get rid of as much water as possible. This results in us having to urinate or go to the bathroom a lot, something that many of us know as the curse of breaking the seal. Ugh. Now, while vasopressin goes down, alcohol causes another hormone, serotonin, to go up. Now, serotonin is a hormone that can affect our moods and emotions, sexual arousal, and our sleepiness. An increase in this hormone is most likely to blame for why people become more friendly while drinking, or more emotional.
I love you, man. I love you.
Alright, so a decrease in vasopressin explains why you have to pee all the time, and an increase in serotonin might explain why tequila makes our clothes fall off. But the molecule that actually makes us enjoy alcohol and the feeling of being drunk, despite all of its adverse effects, all boils down to the king of all hormones, dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's pleasure molecule. It's how it rewards itself for doing things that it likes. We can naturally earn dopamine by doing things that we enjoy, such as playing video games, getting a hug, or even just completing a task. However, there are also substances out there that can trick our brains into releasing dopamine when we haven't earned it. These substances are generally known as drugs, and they include alcohol. So yes, while alcohol may technically be legal for those of us above the age of 21, it's still a drug, and a toxic one at that. That's why they call it alcohol poisoning. So, to sum it all up, ethanol is a toxic ingredient in alcohol that gets us drunk. When we drink it, it enters our bloodstream, where it goes to our liver to be broken down at the rate of about 1 drink per hour. When we drink more than our liver can handle, the excess continues to travel around through our bloodstream, eventually making it to our brains, where it interacts with our neurons and slows down our thought processing. As different parts of our brains slow down, we experience this as the different symptoms of drunkenness, slowly progressing from tipsy to blacked out, and hopefully never making it to full-out alcohol poisoning and death. At the same time, alcohol also interferes with our body's natural release of hormones, causing us to feel happier, friskier, and like we have the bladder of a small child. But, luckily for us, most of these symptoms are only temporary and will be long gone by the next day, so long as we only drink occasionally and always in moderation. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'll escape the dreaded clutches of the day after hangover. Ugh.